OpenAI just launched ChatGPT Images overnight, and my short take, this one matters. If you've been using Nano Banana for client visuals, that model just got beaten by 250 points on a global AI image leaderboard, and that is not a small gap. But the reason this is worth a video is not that it just renders better. The way that this model works is different, and some of what it can do has direct applications in how we work with clients. So I want to show you a few things that you can test today. In the launch video, OpenAI specifically said that it can render full renovation plans for every room in your house.
And now, for the first time in image generation, you can create multiple distinct images at once. So you can generate entire magazines with structured typography and photorealistic photos, full renovation plans for every room in your house.
I'd love to see those prompts. I've only been testing the model for a few hours, so I haven't been able to do that yet, but I will do a follow-up video to explore many more use cases for interior designers and architects. Hit like if you're an interior designer and architect, and if you want more of this kind of content on this channel. And make sure you follow me so you don't miss even more tests and experiments. Before we get into it, the prompts from this video are inside my free community. Everything I use, plus a full free AI course for interior designers, is in there. The link is in the description. So here's the thing that actually changed with this model and why it matters beyond better rendering. Previous image models, Nano Banana, Midjourney, all of them work exactly the same way. You write a prompt and a model generates an image. Your output is only as good as your description. If you miss a detail, the model fills it in however it wants, which is why you've spent time tweaking prompts and wondering why the results keep drifting from what you had in mind. Image 2.0 has a thinking mode. Before it generates anything, it reasons through what you are asking. It can search the web for real information, and it checks its own work before delivering the output. Sam Altman described the jump as going from GPT-3 to GPT-5 all at once. For interior designers, this changes the prompting dynamic entirely. You describe the result you want, and the model fills in the intelligence. A simpler prompt can get a smarter output. The shift that you need to hold on to, this model is reasoning, not just pattern matching. That is new. So I've jumped in and tested 4 common use cases that I use as an interior designer in ChatGPT 2.0, and also dropped the same prompt and images into Nano Banana to see how it compares. So let me start with the one that I think will surprise you the most, because it touches something every designer deals with constantly. You know that gap between a hand-drawn site sketch and a finished floor plan you can actually show a client? That one normally means opening up AutoCAD and SketchUp and spending hours, or at least a lot of minutes, redrawing everything properly. So I wanted to see whether Image 2.0 could close that gap directly from a sketch. So I did a test. I got a hand-drawn floor plan with some dimensions written on it, and I uploaded it alongside a reference image of a finished presentation sheet to show the model what the output style should look like. The first result was not great. The model needed more context about how the spaces were used, so I ended up making some annotations. So with this clarity and the room functions, I ran it again, and the result, I have to say, is remarkable. Let's take a look. As you can see, I just did a few little things on the sketch by indicating the rooms, indicating, where the kitchen was to give more of an impression of the space. And you can see it did a much better job. So again, some of the dimensions are slightly incorrect, and I think it was more of a problem that it couldn't read my handwriting. But you can see it sort of understood the total floor area. It's done this calculation. I haven't thrown it in to SketchUp or anything to actually check the scale. There actually isn't a scale here, but it's followed pretty much the prompt. All the text is really nicely rendered, and it's got a legend here showing the tiled floor, for example, so a lot more detail than I expected. And I think this is a very, very impressive result. A couple of things to note. It's not perfectly to scale. My original sketch was approximate, so the model was working from rough dimensions, but the proportions read correctly and the sheet looks like a finished presentation document. There are a few tiny mistakes, but the title block, the drawing numbers, the note section, it's all there. And what took seconds here would normally take me maybe 20 or 30 minutes to do. So heads up, this is not a replacement for measured drawings or a CAD documentation. I'm still quite skeptical that you can get a measured floor plan. But as a quick first pass presentation of an existing plan to show a client the current layout before you redesign it, this is a very useful tool. The next test is a common use case. I took some messy photos of a room and tried to reimagine it using one inspiration image. So let's take a look. So the next test, I gave it a picture of a garage, and you can see it's really kept the elements of the garage slightly distorted where doors were or whatever. So I gave it 8 photos and it's sort of taken everything and put it together. And you can see it's retained sort of some of the original features of the garage, which aren't particularly beautiful, but it's actually made it look quite nice. Again, this is sort of architecturally incorrect, and you can see it's kept, an old fridge that's in that garage. You can see here it says describe the edits. I haven't had time to really go in and start trying to move things around. I think it's probably possible that you could actually do quite a bit of editing to this image. And the other thing that I want to note is you can see that you can adjust all the aspect ratios. You've got a select button where you can actually draw things. So you could do something like, say, move the, what do they call that? The gym equipment, and then see whether it was able to render. Not a great result there. Maybe I think I'll have to test it, but I guess it literally looked at the prompt, even though I've sort of indicated that one, and because I didn't know the name, it's totally escaped me. But it removed everything. But again, this could be quite interesting to test in the future. So moving on to the next one, this is the one where I wanted to do a direct comparison between ChatGPT 2.0 and Nano Banana. And so one of the things that has always separated the top image models is how well they handle spatial transformation, taking a real photo of a space and reimagining it as something entirely different, not a vague visual suggestion, an actual interior design result. So I took some photos of garage. This is a real garage photographed as is, and I wanted to see what Images 2.0 could do with it, and then run the same prompt in Nano Banana, and you can see the difference side by side. The next one was to give, again, an image of a garage. You can see it's pretty ugly there. You can see a door, some shelving, and I said, transform this image into a realistic mid-century modern interior. This was the actual test prompt that they give you on the homepage of the Images page. So I just copied that and put that through. And I have to say, it made it look very, very nice, particularly realistic. This window is completely imagined. It looks very attractive as an image, and you could totally start imagining this as a mid-century modern space. So this was the result from Nano Banana. For some reason, it integrated the dimensions from my notes directly. You can see that in the thinking. But again, it sort of, what looked very, very realistic a couple of days ago now looks quite poor compared to ChatGPT's image generation model. The most obvious mistake is left the hand truck that was in the garage in the middle of the floor, as well as the bike helmets that were also on the garage. So again, I guess the thinking isn't quite the same as it is in ChatGPT at the moment. Neither of these is a finished design. What you are looking for in a tool like this is whether the spatial logic holds up, whether the result gives you and your client a believable impression of what a space could become. The last one pulls together a few things into a single workflow, and this is the one I think you might want to try immediately. So here's the situation. A client sends you photos of their existing bedroom. You have an initial design direction in mind. The next step is hours of sourcing, pulling furniture, fabrics, finishes, and building a mood board manually. What I tested here was whether ImageGen 2.0 could shortcut the entire process. So first of all, I gave it a very simple mood board, and then I got it to generate that mood board in the bedroom photos by taking everything on that mood board and placing it back into the room. So that's the image. And now I want to take that image and create a mood board that's annotated, that has a lot of information that a client could interpret. I wanted to create a bedroom. And this is something that Nano Banana is really, really good at. But so I used an image, a photo of a bedroom plus a mood board, and I'll just show them on the screen. I asked it to create an image of a high-end bedroom with these finishes, and you can see it did a really great job of replacing all the furniture and making it look very realistic. You can even see that it's maintained the view out of the window, and really this is a very, very nice image. So if you compare that to what was created in Gemini, so this is Nano Banana. It's taken the material swatches and actually just put them on the wall as a artwork, which is not exactly what it was intended. And you can see, even though a few months ago, this would have been amazing, but when you compare it to ChatGPT 2.0, it's not as good. So compare the Gemini to this image where it looks, the lighting is more realistic, the materials are more realistic. I have to say, I am extremely impressed. The next thing is a very, very simple one. As they explained on all the videos, ChatGPT is really great at text. And so I gave it a really simple prompt that just said, create a professional interior design mood board, and it came up with this, and you can see it's incredible. The accuracy of the text and the harmonious nature of this mood board is really quite impressive. So since this was so successful, I wanted to know whether I could actually create a professional interior design mood board with the elements of that room, but with a little bit more explanation. And you can see again, highly impressive. You've got the elements of the room. You've got the materials here, a color palette, layered textures, some ambiance. And this is really a very, very impressive piece of work. And even if you notice, it's actually on the mood board, I had my logo, and it's taken my logo and put it onto this mood board. And that is, really impressive. I have not seen that happen before. So what you are looking at is a 2-prompt workflow, having a starting mood board, then developing it into a photo, and then a redesigned space and a mood board that reflect that space. Less than a few minutes from start to the result. So it's probably not your final design, nor is it a client deliverable, but as a tool for crystallizing a direction quickly or for generating a visual conversation starter before your first concept meeting, this is genuinely useful. So we've got a hand-drawn sketch into a presentation floor plan in seconds, a space transformation with a direct comparison to how it would do in Nano Banana, and a 2-step workflow that takes you from a bedroom photo to a mood board to a furnished room. These are a few things that you can test today. The prompts and the images are in the free community. The links below. There is a lot more on this model to explore, and a lot more on the channel about using AI in your design practice. So make sure you subscribe, because I'd love to show you if it is actually possible to create full renovation plans for every room in your house. And if you haven't already joined the free community, the link is in the description. See you there.